What's up, everybody, and welcome to One Man's Opinion, the show where we cover just about everything. I'm Flash, and today we're talking about college football bowl picks. I don't cover sports much on this channel, so if you're new here, just know I'm the furthest thing from a professional. You shouldn't be making any high-stakes bets based on anything you hear here. I'm just a casual fan. Most of these teams I haven't even watched play this year. I did minimal research. This is just for fun. My little brother Dawson really wanted me to upload a video picking bowls. I've done stuff like this before on the channel, and usually everyone's pretty happy. I understand that people get upset if I don't pick their teams, but just understand I do a little bit of research, but not a whole lot. So if there's something I don't know about your team and you've got a secret all-star linebacker that I haven't heard about, I'm sorry, but maybe you'll get me back if you win your game. So, that's just the way to look at it. Come back and comment on the video if I get your team wrong, and you can rub it in my face all you want. But it's going to be kind of a lengthy video. We got a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right into this one. First matchup, we've got UAB versus Miami, Ohio. Most of y'all know I'm an Alabama fan. If you've watched the channel very much, you've seen me wearing Alabama t-shirts. UAB's kind of like our little brother, so it would be hard not to vote for UAB. I may be a little biased on this one, but I do think UAB's offense is just a little sharper than Miami's, so I'm going UAB in game one. In game two, we've got Troy versus UTSA. Now, you might think that this may be a second round of, hey, Troy is that little Alabama brother, so he's going to pick Troy. But I got to be honest with you, Texas San Antonio just looks really good. They're a lot of fun to watch this year. Both of these teams are really solid. I think they're both really competitive teams. I give edge to strength of schedule a little bit to Texas San Antonio. They look a little better to my eye, so I'm going Texas San Antonio on this one. Up next, we've got Cincinnati versus Louisville. Louisville had the tougher schedule, but lacks the consistency that I want to see when I'm picking a team. I'm big on consistency. It's rare that I go against it. It seemed like though Cincinnati lost some games I felt like they should have done better in this season, it seems like they have a little bit more fight in them. That's just my opinion from the outside looking in. I'm going Cincinnati on this one. Up next, we've got Jackson State versus North Carolina Central, NC Central. This one, look, winner's going to win. Jackson State undefeated this season, so you got to rock with Jackson State and think that they continue to get victories. Plus, Jackson State beat Campbell, who NC Central lost to. So, it stands to reason Jackson State should continue to roll on and finish their season undefeated. Going into Game 5, we've got BYU versus SMU, and in this one, I don't think BYU's defense can hang with the explosive Mustang offense. I'm going with SMU in this one. In Game 6, I've got Fresno State versus Washington State. Fresno State with a 9-4 record going up against Washington State. I actually thought this one was really tough to call and did a little more research into this one, weirdly, than some of the others. I don't know why. It just kind of caught my interest. It seems to me that on paper, Fresno State appears to be the better team. They lead Washington State in most offensive and defensive statistics. Fresno State is also playing really good football right now. I would say that Washington State has strength of schedule on their side. They played a little stiffer competition, in my opinion. And they do have a defense that likes to force turnovers from time to time, so that could be big. But from what I could find out, Washington State has 2 wide receivers that are entering the transfer portal. And, they're starting wide receivers. So I think in this one, Fresno State's on an 8-game win streak. I think motivation favors Fresno State a little bit. And eventually, after I kind of thought about all the different angles that this one could go, I landed on Fresno State being the winner, but I could see this one going either way. I'm picking Fresno State. You let me know what you thought in the comments. Game 7. All right, we got Southern Miss versus Rice. And look, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'm biased against Rice. I'm picking Southern Miss in this one, and it's all NCAA football's fault. When I used to play NCAA football as a kid and as a teenager growing up, look, Rice was always the worst team in the game. And so I can't pick them because I'm biased and they are seared in my mind as not a good football team. So prove me wrong, Rice fans out there, if there are any. So I'm going Southern Miss. Florida versus Oregon State. This one also kind of tough to me. 6-6 Florida, Oregon State 9-3. Oregon State played USC very close and beat Oregon. That win over Oregon is a really solid win in their category. Florida beat Utah, but it was in game 1. Utah beat Oregon State. But I don't see Florida really getting hopped for this game after their loss to Vandy and to Florida State. And so it's hard for me to see them having like the motivation going into this ball game. The game is in Vegas. That's a lot closer to Oregon than it is Florida. So you got to think that there's probably going to be more turnout for the Oregon State Beavers. That plus the win versus Oregon gives me more faith in what Oregon State has been able to accomplish in this season than what Florida has. So I'm going Oregon State in this one. Sorry, Gators fans. Game 9, we got Boise State versus North Texas. Boise State comes in 9-4, North Texas at 7-6. Neither team impressed me a lot based on what I've seen of them. If I had to just draw a conclusion, to me, Boise State looks a little better, so I went Boise State. Marshall versus UConn. Marshall comes in at 8-4, UConn at 6-6. Marshall's win column looks a lot better to me looking at the teams that they've beaten. They finished on a 4-game win streak, so they've got a lot of momentum coming in, so I'm going Marshall on this one. Eastern Michigan at 8-4 coming in against San Jose State, 7-4. Eastern Michigan, again, kind of same as the last. They got the momentum coming into this one on a 3-game win streak. I think they'll carry that out and finish their season with a W, going Eastern Michigan on that one. Coming into game 12 now, we've got Liberty versus Toledo. And both teams are at 8-4 here. This one is just really difficult to call, but I think it boiled down to it's just too hard to trust Liberty with the way that their season ended. I know that they're a good football team and maybe they can bounce back. Maybe that's the motivation they need, but I just feel like I trust Toledo a little bit more, so I lean Toledo in this one. Western Kentucky 8-5, South Alabama 10-2. South Alabama has been consistently strong their entire season. 10-2 is a great record. They're competitive even when they do lose the game. They lost to UCLA, who's a great team. They only lost by 1, and they lost to Troy, who's a really good football team this year, and they only lost that game by 4. So even in their losses, they've been really, really competitive, and I always like to bet to put my money on a team that is going to be in the fight because you know they always have a chance to win the game. So that's why I'm going Southern Alabama on this one. Up next, we got Baylor 6-6 versus Air Force 9-3. Look, Air Force played pretty well this season, but Baylor had the tougher schedule. I think if you put Air Force in Baylor's conference, Air Force doesn't walk away with a 9-3 record. To be honest with you, I don't think that they would have gotten into a bowl game. So one of those rare moments where I'm going to go against the more winning team, and I'm probably going to go with Baylor. I will say, though, Baylor run into a buzzsaw at the end of their season. They lost their last 3 games, which is really tough on the mentality of a football team. If they can get over that mental hump, I think that they are the better team, and that's why I picked them over Air Force. But if they come in flat, look out for Air Force to win this game. Number 15, we've got Louisiana. They're at 6-6 versus Houston, 7-5. Basically, Houston had the better record in what I perceive to be a tougher conference. So, long story short, I went with Houston. To me, the AAC was really competitive this year, and I was really impressed by that conference. So, you'll see me picking people from the AAC quite a bit. Up next, we've got Wake Forest at 7-5 versus Mizzou at 6-6. Look, this one was, I spent a lot of time thinking about this one, and in my opinion, this game comes down to the quarterbacks, Clawson versus Cook, and I think it's going to be a heck of a matchup. I think if you nailed me down in a corner, I would tell you that I think Clawson's probably the better quarterback, but Cook ended the season really, really hot. I like his confidence coming into this game, and I think Missouri is going to have more motivation coming into this game after what was a rocky season throughout than Wake Forest will, who started off the season really good and then finished the season not so hot. I feel like, bottom line, this game will feel more important to a hopeful Missouri fan base who is hopeful in the future of their program than a disappointed Wake Forest fan base who thought that they would end up with a better record at the end of their season, and now here they are. So I'm going with motivation over talent in this one. Up next, we got Middle Tennessee versus San Diego State. Middle Tennessee and San Diego State both sitting at 7-5 coming into this one. After looking into this one a little bit, this one came down to just a gut check for me. It's just a pick with my gut, you know. To be honest, I've always kind of liked Middle Tennessee a little bit. I like their uniforms. I know it's a goofy thing, but they've got a solid quarterback and a solid running back. I lean more toward Middle Tennessee in this one. Though, to be honest, I think this one could go either way. But I like Middle Tennessee. All right, New Mexico State 6-6, Bowling Green 6-6. Look, I think if both of these teams could find a way to lose, they would, but someone has to win. And honestly, I don't know. I think I just circled one in this game, and if I could go back, I would probably pick New Mexico State. But I circled Bowling Green, and I don't have a good reason for you why. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I picked Bowling Green. Do with that what you want. Let me know what you guys thought about my picks. I know I probably hurt some feelings down in the comments below. Tell me what you thought. And hey, feel free to come back to this video when your team wins and the team I picked loses, and you can rub it in my face. You can shout and scream and call me a loser and an idiot all you want. That's what I'm here for. Leave me some comments down below. You know I love the conversation, so I'll talk to you a little bit down there. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you want to support the channel, you can always join the channel. Hit the join button. You can go over to the Patreon. The link is in my channel bio homepage there. You can go there, or you can one-time donate me with the Cash App down below. It's in the description. Go down there. You'll see it. Thank you all so much for all your support. Thank you for hanging out with me, watching this video. And above all else, don't get mad about anything that was said here. Remember, it's just one man's opinion. Thanks.